cannot follow up with ground strikes on the canvas. So if you knock your opponent down, you cannot follow up with strikes. Very important to point that out here at the beginning of round one. Oh, man, that couldn't have felt good. Flush knee lands to the body by the taller fighter. Lands a side kick now. Vazeev gets back up.
Big body kick land.
Punches in bunches as he lands another combination there. Really doing a nice job stringing his shots.
He's doing a great job of stringing the shots together and also just mixing up the target and the attack. Great job finding different places for his strikes to land.
Big left hook coming. It's blocked. Oh, goes to the switch kick and lands. That was masterfully done.
It's such a fast action. You draw a reaction from your opponent, and that's when you find the target.
Good series of kicks by him there, DC. He certainly has that part of his game. Oh, flying knee. Hard shots landing on both sides. Oh, with authority, the body. Switch kick to the body by Vazeev. Oh, and he lands another knee there, DC. It doesn't always pay to be the taller fighter. In this instance, it most certainly did. Oh, no denying that he rocked him, but couldn't quite get the finish.
He hurt him real bad, but he couldn't find the shot that would put him to sleep. He threw a lot of punches, but he couldn't get the one to land on the button that would end the night.
I'm sorry.
For what?
Yeah.
You okay? You just sleeping.
Sorry.
No, I already know, babe. You okay? I love you. You fine.
You failed in every other way.
With strength and determination.
Rabbit and hare. As these animals are usually seen as tiny brown blurs speeding across open plains, picking up on the subtle differences between hares and rabbits can be a bit of a challenge. If you do manage to get close, however, you'll find identifying them a lot easier. Hares are typically bigger, faster, and stronger than rabbits, and this is most apparent by their large ears and feet. Where the animal lives can also be a telltale sign. Hares are not domesticated animals, so if it's a pet, it's a rabbit, or at least it should be. In the wild, rabbits fight each other and live underground, because their babies are born defenseless. Hares rarely fight and live above ground, as their young can be independent soon after birth. Finally, you could identify the animal based on its fur and the time of year. In the hotter months, hares have mostly brown fur with some black. This is often replaced by white fur for the winter. Octopus and squid. To the untrained eye, an octopus and a squid are almost indistinguishable. But fortunately, there are a few easy ways to spot signs that will help you identify what you're looking at. Let's start off with what will likely be the biggest shock. An octopus has no tentacles. Tentacles have hooks or suckers at their tips only. If it is lined with suckers, it is known as an arm. Octopuses and squid both have 8 arms, but squid also have 2 tentacles, which will be longer and higher up than the arms. If you can't sit there and count the number of arms, don't worry. There's a much more obvious way to tell if you are looking at an octopus or a squid. While an octopus will have a round, bulbous head, a squid will have a triangular head with a fin on each side. Unlike octopuses, squid may live in schools. They also tend to be larger and live longer. Ape and monkey. Most of you probably only encounter apes and monkeys in the zoo, where a handy little placard will tell you exactly what you're looking at. Although you can't be expected to identify the species of ape or monkey, you should be able to easily identify the animal as an ape or a monkey. There are hundreds of species of monkey, but only about 24 species of ape. So, one way to tell the difference would be to learn those ape species. Judging by size is also a relatively reliable way to spot the difference, as apes are much larger than monkeys. But the most effective way to differentiate between an ape and a monkey is to look for a tail. Old World monkeys from Africa and Asia will generally have short tails, while New World monkeys from South and Central America will have long tails. Apes, however, have no tails at all. As a result, monkeys generally spend most of their time in the trees, while apes spend most of their time on the ground. Possum and opossum. As a wise man once said, "Since when did they change it to a possum? When I was coming up, it was just possum. Opossum makes it sound like he's Irish or something." Well, the opossum isn't Irish, but American. Although Americans tend to call the animal a possum, real possums are actually from Australia, New Zealand, China, and a few other places. So what's the difference? Both animals are marsupials, with the opossum being the only marsupial native to North America. Opossums have gray fur, a white face, and black ears and feet. Possums can be gray, black, brown, or golden in color and have larger ears than an opossum. But the easiest way to distinguish between the two animals is the cute factor. Possums are like with big bodies and small way than correctly identifying
This
the
the
insect.
nature channel,
Both are
nigga.
classified as apocrita.
You
which
come here to
refers
watch
insects
niggas get
with
their
bare
ass whooped
waists.
while hear
But
nature
bees are
facts.
typically rounder than wasps, which tend to have a more cylindrical shape. Bees also tend to be much less aggressive than wasps, and it is not in their nature to attack anything unless it is for survival. But more importantly, most bees have a rounded stinger. If used, it will get stuck and rip out, causing fatal bodily harm to the bee. On the other hand, wasps are predators that hunt insects and have a smooth stinger that can be safely withdrawn. Although they are still unlikely to attack unprovoked, they are generally the more dangerous of the two. Finally, they tend to be covered in hair, including on their legs. Since wasps don't pollinate, they have smooth, hairless bodies and legs. Shrimp and prawn. If you're looking at a shrimp or a prawn, odds are you're
Yeah,
about to eat
Anthony
it.
Hernandez,
If that's
I
the
got
case,
fucked
then you
with.
probably already know which one you're eating based on the menu. But if you put a prawn next to a shrimp, telling the difference becomes a lot more difficult. Both animals are classed as decapoda crustaceans, which means that they have 10 legs and an exoskeleton. Prawns are usually noticeably larger than shrimp. From head to tail, each of their body segments will overlap with the next, like roof tiles. Due to their curve, the second segment on shrimp will overlap with both the first and third segments, making this a telltale sign of shrimp. Prawns also have claws on their first 3 pairs of legs, while shrimp will only have claws on the first 2. Bison and buffalo. Although a lot of people struggle to tell the difference between a bison and a buffalo, it really isn't too difficult. First, their geographical location is a dead giveaway. Early American settlers named the bison a buffalo due to the bison's similarity to the African buffalo. But buffalo are confined to Africa and Asia, whereas bison are found in Europe and North America. In physical terms, distinguishing the two is as easy as distinguishing a cow from a bull. Unlike buffalo, bison have enormous heads and shoulders that look disproportionate to their bodies. On the flip side, buffalo have huge mustache-like horns, while bison have smaller horns that don't extend out too far. Due to the climate they live in, bison have much more hair, including a beard that they shed in summer. Buffalo have much shorter hair that you would expect for an animal in Africa and Asia. Butterfly and moth. Butterflies and moths bear a lot of striking similarities to one another, especially when you consider their life cycles. Moths start off as larvae before fashioning themselves cocoons covered in silk. They emerge as moths sometime in the following 3 weeks. Surprisingly, butterflies start off as caterpillars but do not make cocoons. They make chrysalises, which are harder and smoother than cocoons and have no silk. They also emerge within 3 weeks. Butterflies are usually identified by their bright coloring. However, this is not entirely reliable, as some moths can be colorful and some butterflies can be dull. Another helpful rule of thumb is that moths are usually nocturnal, whereas butterflies are diurnal. But the best way to identify them is to look at their wings when they land. Butterfly wings will always rest vertically above their bodies, while moth wings will always lower and wrap around their bodies. Caterpillar and centipede. When they're crawling around in the dirt, caterpillars, centipedes, and millipedes are hard to tell apart. But if you look a little closer, the differences among them quickly become quite apparent. Although their patterns can make them look segmented, caterpillars have long, continuous bodies like worms. Many caterpillars are also covered in light hair, while centipedes and millipedes are not. This should be enough to tell you if it's a caterpillar, but the most accurate way to identify the animal is to look at its legs. Caterpillars have prolegs and true legs. The prolegs will disappear when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, while the true legs will remain. The true legs are the 3 pairs closest to the head that are bunched tightly together and have hooks at the ends. Despite their names, centipedes do not have 100 legs and millipedes do not.
Ready. Ready.
All right, so here we go with this stand-up only fight. You guys got to play by the rules. No grappling or wrestling of any type. Also, you cannot do follow-up strikes on the floor. Let's see who the winner is. There it is, maybe the seminal blow.
This might be the biggest shot of this entire put his opponent on wobbly legs. Oh my goodness!
Well, informed speculation says he's going to try to set up another hook here. Well, not sure if I should knock his fight IQ. It seems like he's sort of playing around. It feels like the finish is there for the kick.
Yeah, the finish is there. And he needs to take his time to try and find it. Don't rush. Be patient. And in that patience, you'll find a punch or kick that will put your opponent out.
All right, so he's dealing with some swelling upstairs, and you got to think his opponent is going to continue to attack that region.
Well, he has to. He's starting to see now the work is being done. He's starting to see the benefits of the work with the swelling that's starting to occur. Big swell.
Gonna land right there, the seminal blow of the fight.
I mean, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect, John. Great placement on that uppercut. Landing massive shots.
Oh, big left hand.
Man, what a fight.
Bleeding from the mouth now, a cut there on his lip. That doesn't look like fun. Oh, massive kick lands flush. 2 minutes remain in the round. Push kick there to the body. Well, that body kick was there earlier, not there on that attempt. Another nice kick there. Solid series of kicks. They're all landing now. Well, he just hasn't been efficient with his strikes here tonight. There's another swing. already. I will bet you $1,000 he sets it up. Under 2 minutes now to go. Nice body shot. Well, now you see some visible damage on the side underneath the elbow. He pulled us. Back to his feet.
Ready to fight? Ready.
All right, so with that touch of the gloves, we are underway with this stand-up only fight. A couple of rules in play here, we remind you. No grappling of any type. Also, fighters cannot do any follow-up strikes on the floor. Let's see how he plays it. Air exchanges leather early.
The biggest shot that he's landed all night. A massive uppercut land.
Well, at this point, DC, I'm not sure if he's just biding his time. Gotta start looking for the finish here. Landed on both sides.
And you hear the crowd react every time they come together because they understand the power that these guys are striking with. Big shot to the body.
Beautiful combination there. If you are teaching an up-and-coming fighter about throwing volume strikes effectively, you can do worse than watching the film on this
I mean,
guy
it's a
tonight.
master class, John. It's a master class in mixing up the target, mixing up the strikes, and ending your combinations with the kick.
Big damaging knees here to the body. So Cody is bleeding from the mouth now. A cut there on his lip. That doesn't look like fun. Huge block there. Nice body kick there.
Caught that kick there.
Makes the bad man stop. Man, these guys have some chins on them. Huge shots being landed on both sides. His head still attached to his body.
The last time I saw an uppercut like that, it was... No, still haven't found Alex over his head.
Lands a big elbow there. Nice defense there. Huge block.
Got him hurt. Got to start getting the finish. Big right hand.
Ooh. Gets back to his feet. Under a minute now to go. Both fighters exchange in the pocket here. All right, so now we start to see some redness underneath the elbow. You got to think he's going to continue to attack the body with all the stress.
Whoa.
ready to fight? Ready.
All right, we are ready to go here at the start of round one for this stand-up only event. So grapplers need not apply. We outlined the rules off the top, but here's your refresher. No grappling of any type. We also point out fighters cannot do follow-ups.
Oh, that hurt him bad.
Oh, he lands a huge knee to the body.
Oh, my goodness, these boys are going at it.
Big uppercut. Oh, he lands a massive kick here. And he's in the play shot there. That will do it.
Oh, my goodness.
You ready to fight? Ready.
All right, we are underway with this stand-up only fight. As we remind you of the rule set here, no grappling or wrestling of any type. Fighters also cannot do any follow-up strikes on the floor. May the best man win, and we are underway.
Nice jab by Poirier.
Leg kick lands, nicely done. I'm not sure his opponent knows where he is.
No, he is on Beach Street right now. He's seeing Tweety Bird over the top of his head. When you take a hook like that, you are on wobbly legs.
Knee! Big knee to the body. That'll soften him up. All right, you see his high level. Oh, deception to land the flying knee. Both guys throwing potential fight enders here in the early going. Vicious combo there.
Oh, just opening up on him now.
Oh, with authority the body. Hold your ground. All right, so look at that. A cut has been opened around that eye area.
He's taking shots over and over again to that area, and now he's dealing with a cut.
way, a friendly reminder of the rule set. Not a whole lot of them, but you can't grapple or wrestle at all. And if the fight does hit the canvas, no follow-up strikes permitted on the ground. Well, he keeps going back to the well with that left hand, just out of range. And they separate.
Nice body shot there.
This fight's gonna be close.
What a great way of mixing up his attack. He didn't stay the course. He mixed it up. He went high with his opponent, got that going low, and now he's got him hurt very badly.
Man, this is wild. If you like offense, these fighters are going at it.
All gas, no brakes, baby. Let's go.
Oh, big left hook there. Oh, shades of Leon Edwards. Headshot, bang. Gamebred going for the body. Missed with that kick. Slips the shot. Oh, and he lands another combination here, really starting to get into a striking.
I mean, it's stringing them together so effectively. Never throwing the same attack more than once. What a job to recognize all the openings in his opponent's defenses.
So just over 20 total strikes have now landed for Horton.
He's in a lot of trouble now.
Again, he's looking for that left. It's not there. Some damage being doled out, and now some swelling upstairs on his opponent.
He's not moving his head effectively. He's trying to be face first. Look, you don't have to prove how tough you are. You got to move your head. Be active. Don't be reactive in your defenses.
Oh, two land, I land. That's how we're doing here. Nice jab there by Gamebred. Oh, huge knee. Well, it didn't take him long to get a good read on his opponent. Another good series of kicks there.
He thought the kicks would be a key tonight, and they sure have been. That one landed, yep.
All right, so some definite damage underneath the elbow now on the side of his opponent. A lot of strikes to the body starting to add up.
Yeah, a lot of strikes to the body. It mixes up the attack, not being one-dimensional, not head-hunting inside the octagon. I think he is caught beautifully right now, and he's starting to show itself.
Nice job by him defensively there. And he caught the kick. Fighters separate from the clinch now. Starting to do some really significant damage to the body here. Another strike lands there.
Didn't see that one coming. Gets tagged. Nice combination to the head.
Second round, straight ahead. All right, there's the horn indicating the end of the round. So the fighter now with a cut on his lip. That is something he's going to have to deal with. You see the cut man not wasting any time getting in there. We'll see if he can shut that thing and prevent it from being a factor for him moving forward. All right, DC, here we go with the start of our second round. Jorge Gamebred Masvidal and the one, the only ruthless Robbie Lawler. Oh, and he tags him with a straight. Nice job there by Lawler.
Another punch lands. That was beautiful.
Oh, he lands another debilitating strike to the body, and he continues to punish his opponent's midsection. Had a lot of success with it in the previous round, and picking up exactly where he